Hello guys, welcome to my channel Civology, the study of civil engineering. Today in this video we are going to discuss that 17 questions which were asked from an candidate who was appearing for the job interview and he has qualified the written test and he was appearing for the interview in front of the interview panel, and these questions were asked from him during an interview. Okay, so these questions are very important. A video might get a bit lengthy, but you are requested to watch a complete video so that you do not miss a single point and it worth it. Okay, these questions are very important and civil engineer must know about these basic questions so that he may succeed in interview. Okay, so let's start our today's topic. First of all, the question was asked from him that what is the difference between fire and flashpoint, and also tell us their relationship. Okay, I will give to the point answers so that you can remember and you can memorize it. Okay, so if you are asked that what is flashpoint, you will say the flashpoint of a substance is the lowest temperature at which it can produce a flammable vapor in the air but not sustain combustion. Okay, so let us understand it. The flashpoint is in the point at which the substance, here the substance is bitumen. Okay, this is the term related to, you can say, the transportation or highway. Okay, and it is related to flexible pavement and bituminous pavement. Okay, so the bitumen substance is the bitumen, and it is when heated it produces volatile vapors in the air. Okay, so the flash point is the point where it produces flammable vapors but not sustain combustion. Okay, so the second point is fire point. The fire point is the lowest temperature at which substance will sustain burning for at least 5 seconds. Okay, over here we just said that it will produce flammable vapor, whereas at fire point it will sustain burning for at least 5 seconds after the ignition source is removed. Okay, and the second part of the question is what is the relationship between flash point and fire point, and the relationship is generally the fire point is higher than flash point. Okay, indicating that the substance need to be heated to a higher temperature to sustain combustion compared to the temperature at which it can produce flammable vapor. Okay, question number 2. Question number 2 was asked from a second person sitting in the panel that why it is necessary to determine the fire and flash point of bitumen. You will say, sir, it is very important to determine because at higher temperature bituminous materials leave out volatile vapors. These volatile vapors contains hydrocarbons and they can catch the fire easily and will cause flash at one point, and if it is further heated the material may ignite and burn. Catching fire is very dangerous during mixing of bitumen, especially during its application. So it is necessary to recognize the safe temperature values of bitumen grades for mixing as well as for applying. The limited values of temperature can be determined by conducting flash point and fire point test on bitumen. Question number 3. What is the hydration process of cement? First of all, you will define what is hydration process. Okay, the hydration process in cement is a chemical reaction that occurs when cement particles come in contact with water. This process is crucial for the development of strength and durability in concrete. Okay, then there was a question related to this process. What was the question? The question number 4, how hydration process helps in strength gain. Okay, this is very logical questions and you will have to satisfy the person who is asking this question. Okay, so we will divide this into sub parts. The first one is initial contact. When water is added to cement, it creates or it reacts with the compounds present in cement, primarily tricalcium silicate and dicalcium silicate. Then there is formation of calcium silicate hydrate and calcium hydroxide. The primary products of cement hydration are calcium silicate hydrate gel and calcium hydroxide CSH gel is the main binding agent in concrete responsible for its strength and durability. Heat generation. Then there is heat generation. The hydration process is exothermic, meaning it generates heat. This heat is known as the heat of hydration and contributes to the temperature rise in concrete. The fourth step which help in strength gain of concrete is formation of ettringite. Ettringite is having the formula CS6Al2SO4 and calcium hydroxide CaOH2. In addition to CSH gel and CH, other compounds such as ettringite and the monosulfate may also form during the hydration, contributing to the overall strength of the structure and properties of the concrete. Then there is setting and hardening. As hydration progresses, the concrete undergoes setting and hardening, transitioning from plastic or fluid state to a solid state. This process is crucial for achieving the desired strength and durability of the concrete. Person who is asking the question may ask, what is consistency of cement? This could be the one of the questions, that what is the consistency of the cement. Consistency of the cement refers to the fluidity or stiffness of the cement paste determined by water content. It affects workability. This is also one of the questions that indicates soundness of cement indicates cement's ability to maintain volume after setting without significant expansion or shrinkage. Tested by Le Chatelier's apparatus or autoclave test for durability. The fifth question that was asked from a candidate, that what is aquifer and its types. First of all, you will have to define the aquifer. An aquifer is an underground layer of water-bearing rock or sediment that stores and transmits water. There are several types of the aquifers. Then there could be a question, can you define the types of the aquifers? So you will say, yes sir. The first one is unconfined aquifer. This type of aquifer has a water table that is not confined by impermeable layers above it. Okay, it is recharged directly by precipitation infiltrating into the ground. So for understanding, look at over here, this is unconfined aquifer. This is the mass of water and it is unconfined. As you can see over here, that it is in direct contact with the atmosphere and rainfall or precipitation infiltrates into the ground and accumulates over there. Okay, unconfined. Then there could be a question, what are the other types of the aquifer? You can say the confined aquifer. Confined aquifers are quite opposite to that of unconfined aquifers, and these aquifers are sandwiched between impermeable layers. As you can see over here, this is confined aquifer between sandwich between bedrock, hard surface, and again there is a hard surface formed by solid rock or impermeable layer clay. Okay, so it is sandwiched between two impermeable layers. It is called as confined aquifer. The question could be asked during interview, that is, what is a perched aquifer? So you can say perched aquifers are localized bodies of the groundwater that occur above the regional water table, typically held in place by an impermeable layer. They are often found in hills or highlands. As you can see over here in this picture, these are the perched water bodies. Question number 9, artesian aquifer, or you can say artisan aquifer. This type of aquifer occurs when groundwater is confined between layers of impermeable rock or clay and is under enough pressure to rise above the level of the aquifer. As you can see over here, this is artesian aquifer, and artesian wells are also constructed to pump out the water from this level. Question number 10, which is very unexpected, that what are the types of walls and their purposes. This question was asked during interview from an engineer. Okay, so these are very important questions for civil engineers to learn. So you will answer that there are several types of the valves. Some of them are, number first one is gate valve or sluice valve. Okay, Used for fully opening or closing the flow of the fluid in a pipeline, sluice valves or industrial gate valves are mainly used for industrial purposes. It is easy and simple mechanics make it one of the most used valves across the various industries. The valve operates by simply moving or lifting up. It is used along the pipe in a one-directional or bidirectional flow. When fully open, it hardly provides resistance to the flowing liquid, which is one of the major reasons why it is considered very efficient. The second type of the valve is air relief valve. Releases trapped air and wastewater gases from the pipeline to prevent airlocks and ensure efficient flow. The consequences of neglecting trapped air, decreased water flow, and heightened energy consumption of pumping dissolved air and gases in water. Water naturally contains about 2% dissolved air or gases under standard conditions. In wastewater system, this percentage increases due to decomposition of wastewater. Understanding the presence of these elements, it is very crucial for effective air valve implementation. The third type of the valve is check valve or reflux valve. Allows flow in one direction only, preventing backflow and ensuring unidirectional flow. Check valves, also known as non-return, reflux, or one-way valves. Check valves are used to allow flow in one direction only and prevent the reversal flow. The fourth type of the valve is relief valve. Okay, opens to release excess pressure in a system, protecting equipment from damage due to overpressure. The question number 11. What is the difference between setting of cement and hardening of cement? Setting of cement is defined as or it is referred to the process by which cement changes from a plastic or fluid state to a solid state. It begins when water is added to cement, initiating the hydration process. During setting, the cement paste gradually stiffens and becomes rigid enough to retain its shape. This process is crucial for achieving the desired workability and strength of the concrete. What is hardening of cement? Hardening occurs after the setting process and refers to the gradual development of strength and durability in concrete over time. It involves the continued hydration of cement particles, leading to the formation of calcium silicate hydrate gel and other hydration products. As hydration progresses, the concrete becomes progressively stronger and more resistant to external forces. Hardening is a long-term process that continues for days, weeks, or even months after the initial setting of the concrete. Question number 12. What is difference between seepage and permeability? First of all, let us define seepage. Seepage is the flow of water through soil under hydrostatic pressure, which is a phenomena that occurs when water enters a soil mass and moves through it, driven by gravity or pressure gradients. Seepage can cause instability, erosion, and soil liquefaction. Permeability, on the other hand, is a physical property of soil that refers to the ease with which a fluid can flow through it. It is a measure of the soil's ability to transmit water or other fluids, and it is influenced by factors such as the size, shape, and distribution of soil particles, as well as the void ratio, degree of saturation, and presence of voids or cracks. Question number 13. What is hydrograph? Hydrograph is a way of displaying water level information over time. Hydrograph is a graph that shows the variation in flow rate or discharge of a river, stream, or drainage basin over time. It typically plots time on the horizontal axis and flow rate or discharge on the vertical axis. What are the other types of the hydrographs? It is unit hydrograph. A unit hydrograph represents the response of watershed or catchment to a unit input of rainfall of or runoff. It helps in predicting the hydrological response of a watershed to different rainfall events by scaling the unit hydrograph to the actual rainfall or runoff volume. This is the typical shape of the hydrograph. Question number 15. Direct runoff hydrograph. A direct runoff hydrograph represents the flow response of watershed solely due to direct runoff. which is the portion of the rainfall that directly contributes to the stream flow without undergoing any infiltration or storage in the soil. Question number 16. Can you define heterograph? Heterograph is a graph that shows the distribution of rainfall intensity over time during a storm event. It plots time on the horizontal axis and rainfall intensity on the vertical axis. Question number 17. What is effective rainfall heterograph? An effective rainfall heterograph is a graph that shows the distribution of effective rainfall intensity over time. Effective rainfall is the portion of total rainfall that contributes to runoff generation and stream flow after accounting for losses due to the infiltration, evaporation and other factors. So guys, that's all for today. In the end, you are requested, please subscribe my channel and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get the video updates. That's all for today.